Um, what do I say? Happy fucking inauguration day, I guess. Woo! Yay! Yay! Our first day of fascism. Yay! Woohoo! Yep, yippee! Oh man, here's I just popped into the inauguration, Trump speaking, of course. I jumped in for like 2 seconds and saw this. Give it a second. 1 second.
That is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill,
We're producing more than ever before.
So that's how it's going. Let's go. America is in a national energy emergency. That's so true. We have never been producing more oil at any point in history ever before than we are right now, but we are in an emergency, okay? It's, you know what? Fuck it. Everything's an emergency under fascism, so I guess that's to be expected. I think before I engage with the inauguration, though, I saw this clip from the BTC, man, the Brian Tyler Cohen. There's a supposedly fiery debate between Cenk and Brian and this Cohen, Tyler Cohen, whatever. Who uses their middle name in their fucking YouTube titles? That's crazy.
The Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. Cenk, thanks for coming back on.
That's him.
Oh, no problem, right?
He's that.
So
He's
we had
that
a
guy.
conversation a few weeks back where you went to Turning Point USA's AmFest. You took a lot of heat. I defended you going on there. I think Democrats should go into every space possible and defend our values and not cede that ground to the right. So I continue defending you going on there and any other right-wing platform. But at the time, I took issue with you claiming that these people were, quote, for real about fighting against the establishment.
Yep.
And I asked you at the time what your red line would be before you realized that they're not for real about fighting against the establishment, that in fact, there's no long-standing principle among these MAGA people other than just allegiance to Donald Trump. Here's that clip. What's your red line to the point where you finally recognize whether or not the
Good
people
question.
who you were talking to at Turning Point USA's AmFest, for example, are not actually operating in good faith, and whether there is, again, to my earlier
Has
question,
the red line
no
been crossed
actual
yet?
long-standing principle.
If you paid
It's
any
other
attention to
than
what anything
fealty
that
to the God King,
if you're paying
right?
any attention to anything that Trump says during the inauguration and you find any of that objectionable or abhorrent, I want you to be paying attention very closely to right-wing Twitter. Are they criticizing him? Are they saying any of the things that we want them to say in terms of like him having the wrong positions on issues? Are they going to challenge him at all? The answer is no. Cenk, you've been a fucking retard for the last month and a half. Stop engaging with this bullshit capitulation to the right wing. They do not like us. They are not friends with us. They hate you. And they're only choosing to agree with you on populist issues because they think that you're a sucker enough to fall for them actually believing in doing good things for the left or for people or Americans generally, when of course they're just going to fucking siphon as much money as they can from the American people in terms of tax cuts and blah, blah, blah. And whilst Donald Trump, the theater man, distracts us with a bunch of bullshit. And while the Trump stands will laud him the entire way because they don't care about anything he does. And almost everything that he does gets complete and utter like agreement. And the only thing that he didn't really get that agreement for was on vaccines, which is something that the left actually gives a fuck about. Something he did good, Operation Warp Speed. A bunch of the Republicans and right-wingers were fucking really pissy about. Literally, any Trump tries to do a good thing, and the Republicans actually hate him. It's magical. It's truly spectacular. But go on. Let him speak. What is the red line, mate?
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out here, because thus far there has been no indication that even though they say they're for
he'll just reject this outright and say, I swear to God, I'm looking at Twitter, I'm seeing the Twitter bots, the right-wing Twitter bots are saying the H-1B, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah.
Anti-corruption. Donald Trump's the most corrupt guy to ever sit in the Oval Office, even though they say that they're, you know, for the list goes on and on, right? It's the list that we have spoken about earlier. But when will you stop giving certain people at this event, for example, the benefit of the doubt in terms of their actions not matching up to their rhetoric.
My best guess is the anti-war stuff is where the rubber hits the road.
So you said
So wrong.
that, quote, the anti-war stuff is where the rubber meets the road. So the anti-war stuff. Within days of that interview happening between us, Trump was asked whether he would give an assurance that his threats to annex Greenland and the Panama Canal wouldn't include military force. And here's what he had to say.
Let's start.
People are focusing too much on this.
Your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these?
Yeah.
Are you?
I
He
remember.
said no, clear as day. And guess what? Nobody in his party abandoned him. Not a single.
Not a single one. In fact, they think it's really funny. They're like, oh, we love it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, maybe we do invade Greenland. He. They don't give a fuck. Yeah, it's a good point.
Trump acolyte even spoke out against it. There wasn't a word spoken out against him. So I guess my question here is, are you prepared to concede that, like I said, these people do not have any long-standing principles? There is nothing that you can do to shake their support, and that you gave them
very
too much
little.
credit for thinking that they care about anything other than allegiance to Trump.
Of course, he's never gonna. He's
Yeah,
not gonna see
absolutely
this.
not even close. In fact,
Not
I think
even close?
Since then, a lot of interesting things have happened that have showed that I'm closer to right. And remember, I'm saying
Delusion.
this as what I'm seeing and what I think is going to happen, but time will tell. So first, on
It's just gonna. You're just gonna use this excuse for forever and ever. I'm seeing something on Twitter. Maybe some right wingers, Cat Turd or whoever, is getting mad, but only time will tell. Dude, I don't give a fuck if Cat Turd gets mad on Twitter. That's not a sign of like a broader movement. You goofball.
Greenland and Panama, they don't really think he's going to invade Greenland or Panama. They think that that's his usual bluster. So I did some tweets about it just to.
Why? Okay, like if it's his usual bluster and they're just saying bullshit, then like why are a bunch of his right-wing people being like, yeah, we should take Greenland actually. He's got a good point. Maybe Panama Canal should be ours. I mean, if we do need to use military force, like there's not, like him threatening that isn't even something that like registers on their radar. I think it's why I wouldn't have focused on this specifically. Cock and balls. They loved what he had to say about Greenland. They loved that people were freaking out over how we might go to war with Greenland or Panama or whatever the fuck. And obviously, I don't think that that's realistic. Again, it's mostly just shit that he throws in the air to distract from what he's planning to do, which, you know, dismantle the bureaucratic state and all of its institutions, or as many of it as he can, to be able to get away with intense deregulation and tax cuts for the rich and stealing more money from the American people. So like all of I think my argument, right, is that all this anti-war bluster bullshit is simply distraction to keep the base completely inoculated to the fact that he's actually ruining their lives and destroying this country. But, you know, like the frustrating thing for me is if your president is just going to say a bunch of bluster, then why do you support him? Because like you don't know exactly what he's going to do at all. You don't know what he's going to, you don't believe in anything that he's going to do or not do. So how do you know that how do you know at all what to expect? You insist he's going to be anti-war, well, he's not. And then when he isn't, then what's going to happen? They're going to keep supporting him. Like, it doesn't matter what he says, dude. If he says it, then it's going to be okay, pretty much. When he said that we would end this as quickly as possible in Gaza, we would give Israel what they needed to end it in Gaza, like, that was like a pretty pro-war thing. Did any of the MAGA people walk away from him after that? No, they didn't. It's just a stupid...
You know, almost like test, you know, do they have any kind of pushback, etc. And people were like, well, I mean, Panama owes us, and etc. It's not like they think like we do exactly, not really that close. But when you get to yes, but should we invade Greenland or Panama? Most of the comments were no, of course we shouldn't invade them, but we should put economic.
Cenk, this is the lowest bar on the fucking planet. I could not get lower than this bar that you're setting up for MAGA right now. It's crazy. It's literally on the floor. It's impossible to do this level of limbo, mate. What are we doing?
Pressure, and I like the way he does his bluster, etc. So you're not.
But he's not saying that. He's not just saying put some economic pressure and I'm just doing bluster. When he was asked if we should rule out military force, he said no. Like, to claim that he isn't serious. If you asked anybody on December 19th, when Trump tweeted big protests in D.C., be there will be wild, whether that would amount to an armed insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, most people would say no. And most people probably on the right would say that they don't support that either. And you and I rightly criticize mainstream media for constantly giving Trump
devastating point. Devastating point. A bunch of Republicans at the time would have said, no, that would have been horrible. And a lot of them did immediately after Jan 6. They all looked like they had egg on their face, like, oh shit, did our side just do this? Oh, what the fuck? No, I don't support that. I don't support that. Then once Trump comes out and does his fucking rhetoric and bullshit and all of his supporters come out to defend him, magically, a huge chunk of them that had egg on their face immediately after Jan 6 turned around and said, no, actually, it was Antifa. No, actually, it was this. No, it was the right-wingers, but they were just defending the nation rightly because the election was stolen. And they what did they do? They took the Trump line. What is it, like 70-80% of them now believe that the vast majority of the Jan 6 rioters should be released from prison, should be pardoned. Right? That line at a Trump rally goes fucking hard, dude. Whereas before, when he didn't do all of that, when he didn't do the fake electors, when he didn't do Jan 6, if you had said, what if Trump does all of these things before the election, they would have said, oh, that's bluster. He's just, oh, it's ridiculous. He would never do. And then it happens. And then what do? We have historical evidence of this, Cenk. They fucking turned suit. Instantly.
benefit of the doubt, but you're doing it here.
No, I'm not.
You literally are.
So first off, on all the things that Trump did after the election, I was accurate about that too. I said, no, Trump will do anything to stay in power. And so
you said that, brother, you also said, tick, 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 any day now he's going to drop out because he's going to be so embarrassed because of the impeachment or whatever the fuck. Because of this embarrassing call with Zelensky from Ukraine about how he was going to withhold aid unless he got dirt on Joe Biden, which again is insane. Impeachable, I have no idea. Like, we'll say a president really shouldn't be doing that. The money was already allocated by Congress. The president, literally as part of his duties, cannot step in and do that. You don't want to say impeachable, maybe less so. I mean, I feel like there's got to be a way to make the guy recognize, hey, you can't be doing stupid shit like that. If impeachment was the only way, then fine. But you said that he would be so embarrassed by the impeachment that he would drop out. Not that he would do anything he could to stay in power. Come on, man. Wait.
And he did. So I'm not
that doesn't mean anything.
Naive about Trump. So, but invading Greenland and Panama is comical. If he goes to do it, I will guarantee you that a huge portion of his base will actually turn on him. And because it's freaking comical.
Not.
So, and here
I honest to God don't know how serious you're being. It's really not. You have like too big of an idealist perspective for what America could or couldn't do.
I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt to Trump. I'm giving some benefit of the doubt on some issues to his base. In fact, Brian.
But again, like, and this is why I don't bring it up, but the Greenland Panama thing is so extreme that it is pretty easy for me even to concede that, yeah, like most of them right now would say that invading Greenland or Panama is insane and that we shouldn't actually do that. But if we were to do it and Trump were to give a plausible explanation as to why we literally needed to, I don't know, Panama, he could just make up, okay, they're bringing in the fentanyl through the canal, we have to monitor it. The illegals are swimming across the canal, we have to, he'll make something up. They will believe him on that. A good chunk of them will turn and be like, well, no, we had to get the Panama Canal because China was owning it and operating it, and they weren't letting our ships through, and it's not fair, and also the immigrants are swimming across it, and we need to make sure that we catch them when they come up because we want to stop them from any path up to the United States. So right, like they will eat up that dribble instantly, dude. They can't wait. They can't wait. There are some Republicans that probably would still have principles and be like, no, we're against this. But Cenk, they like, if they're given by their dear leader a good enough explanation, they will do anything. That's why I like the point that we just brought up, which is that, like, you're saying, hey, look, a lot of, like, here's an example of in the past where before Jan 6 happened, a lot of people would have said, no, that's insane. If I were to describe prior to Jan 6 an event like Jan 6 happening and a plot behind the scenes with the fake electors and getting Mike Pence to send it back to the states so that they could get their fake people in to certify Trump when he hadn't actually won. If you wanted, and I told you that he was calling governors up and saying, I need you to find this many votes and blah, 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 blah. If I had told you all that stuff before it all became public and before Trump had the opportunity to propagandize on it, then a lot of those Trump supporters would have been like, yeah, well, obviously that's a bit too far. But then when he actually did it, and then he started telling them, he's the one that they trust, when he starts telling them that this is actually, I wasn't a part of this at all, and blah, 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 and the rioters were patriots, actually. They said they're government hostages, is what he keeps saying now. They love that line. They completely flipped around. That's what happened historically, and that's what's happening right now still in 2024. That's a really good piece of evidence to suggest that, like, here's an insane thing that no one thought that a president, even someone as insane as Trump, could do. Then he did it. All of his supporters prior to Jan 6, probably he would have been correct in saying they would not have supported it. But after he did it and he actually tried to justify it, they would come in and support behind him. And they still do to this day. A huge chunk of them still believe that the election was stolen from him. This is the point. Why necessarily would they be any different now? They'll be anti-war until Trump gives them a reason that they need to be pro for that war. There will be some that stay behind and criticize him, sure. But will it be pressure significant enough to make Trump change his fucking mind? Fuck no. That is my general approach. Greenland thing is much less plausible to me. I think there would be pretty significant backlash generally from that because we have very close ties with Europe and beating up on Denmark by invading one of their territories would be a fucking disaster. Destroy our alliances with Europe broadly, potentially the European Union. It could destabilize the entire continent. It would be disastrous. I think a lot of people would recognize pretty quickly that was a bad idea. Much like he got a lot of criticism from the militaries, like from the MIC on the pulling back our troops from where was it exactly? I can't remember. We pulled back our troops in an area, and the Turks started going in and blowing up and killing a bunch of Kurds. and then everyone in the establishment was like, Trump, what the fuck's wrong with you? Keep our troops there, you idiot. They were there so that the Turks didn't just like slaughter these people. Yeah, it would be like an instant backlash. Even if he did attempt it, it would be an instant backlash like that. The Panama one, I think he could get away with, genuinely. Both very impractical and very unlikely to happen. But,
Look at what's happened since we last talked. This absurd comical conversation about invading Greenland is a tiny minor thing that's not actually going to happen.
Yeah, another distraction away from them stealing, plotting to steal your money and give it to the ultra rich.
But what actually did happen is a giant war between Steve Bannon and Elon Musk broke out. So if you're saying
a giant war, dude, that one's also a part of the past, man. Who the fuck is giving any fucks about the H-1B conversation still? Literally. Oh, Steve Bannon and Elon Musk had a big falling out. Wow. Oh, crazy. That's insanity. It didn't cause a fallout with Trump, though, did it? His whole base isn't holding him accountable. Trump said the H-1Bs are fine. His whole base isn't holding him accountable to this point, are they? Steve Bannon, okay, he can say he's going to fight to the end of the earth. Oh, it was a big fight. Yeah, like a week ago. That shit's a tiny story too now. Like you're still blowing it up in your head because it's the only thing that supports your argument, and it's not even supporting your argument. It supported your argument, perhaps in a temporary sense for like one day. You keep saying we'll see what happens. We saw what happened, mate. 3 weeks have passed since that H-1B conversation. Who's still fighting? Who's still holding Trump accountable on the H-1B thing? Why didn't he bring it up at his rally yesterday? come on, man. We got to be serious people, man. Like he has the idea, his thesis, the thing that he wants to get to, and he is ignoring all of the evidence that points away from that thesis because he just so much of what he's done and gotten criticism in the recent past is hinged on this core argument, which the evidence is not bearing itself out even remotely.
Saying, well, they're a monolith. Well, which one's the monolith, Bannon or Musk? Because they now absolutely hate each other. Bannon for all of his evils, and there are plenty of those, and he's massively anti-immigrant, and I'm an immigrant. I'm, again, wide-eyed.
Bannon, so what? Here's the thing then. Bannon's fallen off because he wasn't at the Trump rally yesterday. Elon Musk was, with this kid that he parades around like a scarf. Poor Elon's 10 other kids that didn't never get to go anywhere or hang out with his dad ever. That one 3-year-old that can't like say anything or like challenge him or whatever. I don't know. I think he likes that kid more than the rest of his kids. I don't know. It's hard to say.
About that, I'm not naive 1% about that. But he's talking about raising corporate taxes. He's talking about raising taxes on the rich, and he's talking about how Elon Musk is a donor. Yeah,
it's a good thing that Steve Bannon is still really close in Trump's ear right now, because that's totally how it appears to be. The evidence that we see right now definitely shows that Trump's listening to Steve Bannon more than he is Elon Musk. Sure. Yep.
And that we shouldn't get into that kind of corruption.
Delusional.
So now, on the other hand, I might agree more with Elon Musk on H-1B, but you can't just do binary brain and go, me hate all MAGA. Well, which ones? Because they now
that straw man alert. Oh my God, dude, anything to defend his core point that got him into this controversy is so stupid. Come on, man. I'm asking better from you, Cenk, mate. I've been watching you for years. I know you're not a fucking retard. Come on.
We disagree.
But the through line between both of them is that all of the glue that holds both factions, the Bannon faction and the Elon together, is that they have an allegiance to Donald Trump. That is the only, that's the only long-standing principle between all of these people.
That's not remotely true.
Why
Because
isn't
if
it?
that was true, Bannon would have bowed his head to Musk and said, okay, well, he is the great donor.
Well, then you're implicitly acknowledging the truth, which I outlined, which is that Musk is the one that's in charge. Musk is the one that curries favor with Trump. And for Bannon to have a disagreement here, and for him to raise all hell and to have this giant war with Elon Musk didn't change Trump's mind even a bit. My guess is, and I think it's still happening to this day, that Bannon is going to give up on the H-1B thing and talk about and laud all of Trump's successes instead. Who cares? Bannon's insane followers are going to start believing Bannon over Trump? I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. We'll see.
I hear what you're saying, but look.
That's just a fact, Brian. You can't deny it.
I hear what you're saying with regard to that, but Trump gets a pass in a way that every single underling beneath him doesn't get.
But wait a minute, Brian. So that's obviously true, but did Biden not get the same pass?
No one said anything about Biden. We're talking about Trump.
Long time.
We're talking about Trump, dog. No one said anything about Biden. Shut up. What is this? What is this? What is this? This is a whataboutism, mate.
As his brain was melting, all of the Democrats were like, "No, he's young and dynamic." Are you kidding me? Kidding me?
I think that you prove yourself wrong because you were out there. But I'm giving you credit here because you were out there, and the fact that people like you could come out and say that Biden should not be running for re-election. Of course, but look, the majority of people are going to.
So you're admitting that the Democrats are also a cult.
I'm saying.
What? So why are we on this point? Just stop distracting. We were having an actual argument. Oh my God. Oh. You were right on the Biden thing. I agreed with you for the most part. Okay, great. You get the credit. Move on.
For a lot of the party, they are going to stand behind the president as he's facing re-election against Donald Trump. That's
okay.
Clear,
you're saying
clear
the
as
same
day.
exact
but,
thing.
But nobody.
We have to blindly support our maniacal president who can't even talk or think.
I'm saying nobody is willing or allowed to say an ill word of Donald Trump, even within these so-called competing factions between Bannon and Elon Musk.
That's not true, Brian. That's not true. Look at the two primaries. Nikki Haley said a lot of unkind things. DeSantis did for a little while. No, hold on.
That's the primary. And she's since come
primary.
around and bent the knee.
No way. Now you're misleading. They had a real primary, and Trump crushed them. We did not.
Trump didn't show up to any of the debates. Ay.
Have a real primary. All we had was a bunch of jackasses who went and said, how dare you oppose Biden? To me, to Marianne Williamson, to Dean Phillips. Forgive me and Marianne. To Dean Phillips, a sitting U.S. congressman, they were like, he is being disloyal.
I agree with that. That's true.
Joe Biden is great. Joe Biden is young and dynamic.
All right, relax, Cenk. See, he's gonna be, you're telling me that this didn't happen? He's like, Brian Tyler is just calmly staring him in the face. I agreed with you. I already agreed with you. If you could stop yelling, then you'd know that I already agreed with you on this, okay? Genuinely failing to see how this describes the thing that we were talking about in terms of the Republicans.
Tell me that's not a bubble, brother? So but what I'm trying to explain to both sides is you're both in bubbles. Please, for God's sake, think of...
Shut up. Dude. Okay, well, I've popped the bubble and walked outside of its confines because I've never been making this point. I always said, look, we need... since June of 2023... I've been saying, God, please let there be a proper Democratic primary. This old fart Joe Biden is going to sleepwalk us into a loss if we don't take Trump seriously and get a better candidate who has a better message and a better vision for the future and promises to do more. If Biden doesn't pass the torch, we're in trouble, mate. I've been saying this since June of 2023. Probably before that. So I'm agreeing with that. And I can agree that the Democrats have a different form of a cult mentality around the way that they engage with politics. So I'm not in that bubble. Brian Tyler Cohen is a little bit in that bubble. I'm just assuming because I imagine he was also amongst the people who were saying that it would be bad for Biden to drop out too late. And also amongst the people who were very loudly talking and singing of Biden's praises, right? But like, what does that have to do with the conversation about, like, if you're admitting that we're both in bubbles and that, like, the Democrats will support the Democrat and the Republicans will support the Republican generally, and or specifically the Republicans will support Trump, then, like, maybe that's right. But then that you're making the point then that they will follow Trump pretty much regardless, right? Like, you're not even this sidetracked complete other conversation that we're having about the Democrat cult or whatever is, if you're accepting that cult exists and accepting that it exists on the Republican side, then you're also like, then Brian's original point stands, which is that they'll mostly go along with almost everything that Trump says.
Objectively, and this is the number one request that I would have of people on our side, which is focus on policy.
Oh, I get it, man. I'm trying.
Cult of personality. Oh, that's a Democratic.
It's not just about policy; it's narrative. But the narrative should be centered around policy. We agree on this. So now he's going to do a caricature, a straw man of what he thinks that the rest of the Democrats are doing. I am one of them. I am not doing this.
Leader or cult of personality. That's Trump. We have to oppose everything Trump is doing. No, wait a minute. What is the policy? And if they
kill myself,
say something that we agree with, for God's sake, take yes for an answer. In the middle of Trump, imagine.
Why can't we ever, like, why even bother coming on the shows, Cenk, if you're not going to engage with the point, if you're not going to move any further past this stupid fucking straw man? What's the point?
We get a couple of wins. I know what the great...
You're not going to get any pushback from me. I agree with that. I would love... Look, if by some miracle we see the minimum wage raise, if we see pro-union legislation passed, if we see you know, the anything that happens that I want to see, I'm not going to trash it just by virtue of the fact that it was signed into law by a Republican president. I still, like, it's the agenda,
we
not the
all...
politicians.
Cenk, stop bringing this fucking retarded point up. We all agree with what Brian Tyler Cohen is saying here. We are making a different point that you refuse to engage with. Please, for God's sakes, engage.
That I'm advocating for, and however we get there is perfectly acceptable to me. But I guess going back to the initial point, the issue I have here is while even people, yeah, sure, you'll get pilloried by by a majority of the party who, of course, wants to see Joe Biden in the strongest position as he heads toward an imminent election with Donald Trump. But that is different than there being zero people, literally none right now in the Republican Party
Brian.
under the Bannon banner or under the Musk banner. Any of those competing factions, nobody will say an ill word of Donald Trump, and nobody ultimately, at the end of the day, has any allegiance to anything other than whatever Donald Trump says. The Bannon people are not going to abandon. The Bannon people are not going to abandon
You're making it up
by virtue of any policy position.
Cenk, you are not. You're making it up in your head, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. What do you mean it's not factual? I'm seeing Cat Turd disagrees with Trump. Like that's your fucking. Like I'm gonna lose it, bro. I'm gonna crash out. Please, I'm gonna crash out, mate. What is this? Look at. What do you mean it's not factually true? Look at the fucking world, mate. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Jesus fucking Christ. Oh Lord.
He has, in the same way that the Elon people are not going to abandon him either.
Look at his smile through this too. He can't even say it seriously.
Of any policy position that he has, in the same way that the Elon people are not going to abandon him either.
Look at his smile. He can't. He's trying to choke back a smile, dude. Oh my God.
Bannon said that Trump's position on H-1B was wrong.
Wow. That's crazy. And then he put pressure on Trump, and the base as a whole put a bunch of pressure on Trump, and they got Trump to change his mind on this, right? Right?
So you're totally counterfactual. So look, guys.
And not a single person will abandon him by virtue of it.
But first of all, his campaign, his second term hasn't even started, and already there's a giant civil war within his followers. You don't want to open your eyes because you're thinking, Trump,
are you fucking kidding me?
We all have to hate Trump, and we all have to hate all.
It's not a giant civil war. Like what's going to happen, dude? What's going to happen on the H-1B thing? What giant civil war? Oh my God. I guarantee you there's no executive action that comes day one that has anything to do with H-1Bs. They're going to leave that shit exactly intact. And the vocal part of the Republican base that doesn't like H-1Bs will fade and nothing will happen. Even if it gets louder, Trump will not listen. Why would he? He has no incentive to.
All of them. And so my job is to drive my audience to hate them and to support blindly ridiculous politicians.
I can't
like
lose
Joe
this
Biden,
race, man.
Kamala Harris, and
I
Karen
did.
Bass, and Gavin
I'm so
Newsom.
fucking annoyed.
No, open your eyes. We have to fight for left-wing policies.
Mother of God.
Policies.
I'm gonna kill.
Karen
Oh,
Bass and Gavin Newsom didn't.
sorry. I'm gonna hurt myself. That plus the nonsense that I'm listening to is doing a toll on my mental, mate.
Give that to us. Joe Biden didn't give that to us. So, and I'm not naive enough to think that Trump, out of the goodness of his heart, is going to do left-wing policies. We got maybe a 10 to 15% chance if we're really
10 to 15. If I'm being charitable to Cenk, I'm giving him a 1% chance, mate.
good at this, to take a part of his.
You could play this out 100
and
times.
Get some positive things done, and we fight back on the rest.
You could play
But
this out
but
100 times,
we have to stay
man.
in the factual world instead of the world we want, and apparently a lot of the folks on the left want a world where we all hate each other. They hate us because of racism.
What the actual fuck are you talking? Cenk, dog, bro, to stay on topic with the straw mans. He can't argue without them. He has no, dude. He's like, I'm gonna say this insane thing that you obviously don't believe, so that if you're interpreting me at even remotely any amount of good faith, you have to come back and say that I was right on that point that you never made. Jesus fucking Christ.
And blah blah blah. We hate them because they say they're racism. Oh, great culture wars. We're at each other's throats. And look at the idiot Republicans now trying to deny California wildfire aid because they say your governors are incompetent. But see, we have to take care of that on our own. And then that's where you fight back against the Republicans. And I've been going crazy these last couple of days, going, all right, then the next time there's a natural disaster in Alabama or Mississippi, you want to talk about incompetent? They rank 49th and 50th in every category. That's it. I'm denying aid to Alabama and Mississippi. Because why do I do that? Because I have some credibility in the right wing now because I am honest.
It's all and then again at the end it all comes back to it being self-centered, right? It's like I got credibility with the right now. I got creds, mate. Dude, Charlie Kirk loves me, man. Like, seriously, man. What the fuck? What are we doing? I just okay.
And so when I say, guys,
The
if
stick
you
drift
deny
is getting
us,
crazy.
we're going to deny you aid. Okay, it at least breaks through. Whereas when you just have the partisan camps and rah rah Biden, rah rah Trump, you're just not being factual. You're just trying to rah rah people, and unfortunately, it's created these giant bubbles. So please wake up. Bannon and Musk are at war. So figure out, hey, who's right, who's
They
wrong
are
about
not.
particular issues.
Excuse
And
me. I'm not denying that they're at war, but I'm insinuating that Bannon can get as mad as he wants. At the end of the day, he'll tuck his tail to Trump. He has to. His listener base would abandon him if he abandons Trump. That's not like he's not allowed to leave Trump's graces. Trump holds that much power within the Republican Party. That's how it works. Bannon is not stronger than Trump. And evidence of that, which you admitted, is that Bannon's not getting through to Trump. Him disagreeing is not getting through to him. He chooses to listen to Elon Musk. That is, Trump believes what he believes, and then his supporters will go along with it regardless. Deal with it. Like that's the reality. That's the facts on the ground, Cenk, that you're refusing to see. Like I'm gonna ooh.
one of them says something we agree with, as much as we loathe them, and if they can create momentum, Bannon, I'm skeptical, very, very skeptical about this.
I
but
missed
if
cup of the
Bannon
day.
can
Fuck.
Create momentum for increasing corporate taxes. Correct answer is yes, and help him fight against Musk. If Musk is right about something, help him fight against Bannon. That way, we get to have a voice, and we get to be a part of the equation. But if you just sit there and go, no, me hate Trump, but which one is Trump? Which one is Trump?
Yeah, I mean,
I would be fucking crashing out if I was in this debate with Cenk right now. I'd be losing my goddamn mind. I'd be like, it's a really cool thing that I didn't say any of those things, and I'm making an argument to you, Cenk, and you just, instead of engaging with the argument that I made, just decided to say that I was saying a completely different thing, of which, of course, I have to agree with you. Yes, the thing that you just said that I never said is something that I agree with you. So can we stick with the goddamn thing that we were talking about, please?
I hear what you're saying, but it's not that what I'm saying is we hate Trump. It's that what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, there is nothing that Donald Trump could do to push away any of these people.
Cohen, this is called a straw man. You're saying it in a roundabout way, but yes, that's what that is. It just, like, please call him out for that.
And that when you suggest that your red line, for example, is that
Shut up, Cenk. Shut up, please.
Trump, is that what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, there is nothing that Donald Trump could do to push away any of these people, and that when you suggest that your red line, for example, is that they're anti-war, that at the end of the day, nothing he can do is going to push these people away. If we can watch this guy incite an armed insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and have all of these people initially speak out against it, only for them all to ultimately come back home, and there is not a single Republican in good standing in the Republican Party. Liz Cheney is out of the party. Adam Kinzinger is out of the party. Those are the only two people who are willing to speak out. Everybody else has since come back home to Trump. There is nothing he can do. If it's not going to be an armed insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, it's going to push these people away. The notion that a policy decision that he could make is going to have enough weight behind it to finally push these people away. They have shown by virtue of coming back home to him that nothing he can do. I mean, like, we joke about him saying that I can shoot.
He hasn't even started in this term. What you're talking about is true for the past. That is definitely...
What the fuck else are we supposed to look at but history to inform our future decisions, retard? That's the whole point of this news stuff. That's the whole point of the politics. It's the whole point of this. What the actual fuck? We're supposed to look back at the very recent past to see what the base and supporters did and use that information to inform how we should be thinking about this in the future. If you insist that there's something different about this base, then you need to make that argument. But all you're doing is saying, oh, I don't know, on Twitter, I see Cat Turd having some disagreements. I see Bannon having some disagreements. So I think it's different this time. And then you just say the wait and see. But we're pointing at the history. I'm sure there has been plenty of disagreement. They didn't agree with everything that Trump said. Again, with the Operation Warp Speed, every time he talks about vaccines, they disagree with him on that. Trump did end up backing away from it because he doesn't want to get booed on stage talking about it. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't still believe that the vaccines were good and the Operation Warp Speed was a good thing. He just doesn't bring it up with his base because he knows he'll get booed. But that doesn't mean that he wouldn't do it again. I don't know. It's stupid.
Definitely true. Look, I'm the very last person to defend Trump on Trump's terms. I did a loser Donald segment. I literally did 100 of them for the maniac he is.
Right, and I'm not challenging. I'm
Yeah,
not challenging.
yes, we get it.
You on
Come
that.
on.
But go on.
Yeah, so I know who I'm dealing with here, but he also likes to be popular. So if we can feed into the direction that makes him more popular, which is passing our laws,
Which which is getting rid of H-1Bs for some reason. It's just funny. Like, I know he's not taking Bannon's side here. He's trying to point out that, like, there are sections of the base that disagree with Trump, and that's fine. There always were, and there always will be. That's fine. But, like, that's not a novel thing to say. That was something that was also the case back in 2016, also in 2020, when Jan 6 happened. Or in 2021, I guess. A lot of people disagreed with him immediately after Jan 6, and then they fucking tucked tail and turned around. I'm just saying, like, you can disagree, sure, but, like, history has shown for 8 straight years that they always fall in line behind him. You're to suggest that somehow magically it would just wildly change because of this election. You need to provide some significant evidence that suggests that would actually manifest. Otherwise, I can't believe you for anything.
our policies, then great. But you're giving up before this term has even begun. We're not looking to get Trump to do like marvelous 85% of Bernie Sanders' policies. That's
Yeah.
for Cocoa Puffs. That's never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But if we get 15%, that's a lot better off. If we can contain his worst impulses by going and finding allies in the right wing that agree with us, that would be much better in containing his worst impulses instead of driving towards.
Why would it be?
And please, look, this is the
They
same.
don't want to
for
work
our
with you,
audience,
man.
and we're trying to be honest with everyone. And obviously, of course, we're getting punished for it. You'll look at the comment section here, turncoat binary thinking. If he's criticizing Democrats, that must mean he loves Trump. I'm sick of it.
Totally. That's exactly what's happening in the comment sections. No one's trying to adequately engage with the arguments. The only one that's not trying to do the nuance, the only one that's not trying to engage is you. You're saying that everyone thinks this way. All of the left or if you're saying that we can never work with them ever, it's the binary, you're doing that. You're doing that. You're assuming that that's what everyone's doing against you. They're not. They have arguments too. They disagree with you for different reasons. You just don't want to engage with those reasons. And it all gets punted to, well, on Twitter, they are critical of Trump. And also, let's just wait and see. And that's good. But if that's all you have to contribute, if that's all that you have to actually argue, then we don't need to keep doing these fucking interviews and debates.
It's just maddening. Please snap
I
out
wanted
of
the coin, actually.
hypnosis you guys are all. Are you kidding me on not being able to challenge Trump? First of all, they did challenge Trump. He won. On Biden, it was the most legitimate challenge in history. And everybody said, shut up and fall in line behind the...
And now we're talking about Biden again. Again, because not that this has anything to do with how the Trump fans, because the thing that we're talking about is Trump fans, but somehow we're going back to the Biden fans. Please. Oh my God.
The guy who's in obvious mental decline, who's talking about how his uncle was eaten by cannibals. And what did our side do? Everybody said, shut up and fall in line.
Everybody said,
objecting to leadership is unacceptable.
This is not
Right.
binary thinking.
They'll do it again.
This
They'll
is
put
not
up
binary
another
thinking.
corporate robot like Pete Buttigieg
Sarcasm.
and Gavin Newsom in 2028, and they'll tell you, shut up. You're not allowed to disagree. Unity. If you disagree, you're a Republican. We have to pick the worst corporate candidate there is. We have to pick a deeply corrupt establishment figure. Otherwise, that's it. You're in favor of Trump. So if you're on the left and if you're watching this, you're supposed to...
Please, Christ Almighty. Please, Christ Almighty. Oh my God. Please, Christ Almighty. Help me get through these troublesome times. Oh, Lord have mercy on my soul. Peace be with Christ and Joseph and Mary and whoever the fuck else. I don't know. There's a guy named Zeke, maybe? I don't know.
to disobey. We're the left. We're not supposed to fall in line. We're supposed to have interesting, dynamic, different intellectual ideas, and we're supposed to care for everyone. We're not supposed to say we care for everyone except MAGA and half the country, I hate them, and we should never talk to them, and all we should do is yell at them and assume that they're all idiots.
Can we, like, we're smart people, right? Can we just, like, stop engaging with this bullshit straw man like this is what everyone was doing? Because it's obviously not. There's a huge chunk of your base, which you would say is a progressive base, which I think you suspect is a larger part of the country than we even know, that agrees with you already. So we don't need to play this stupid fucking game like this is what all Democrats believe. Please, like, if you're trying to get through to those Democrats, you're doing it in the worst possible way. They are not listening to you. They've already tuned you out, mate. Because you're antagonizing them in the same way that you won't antagonize the Republicans that you're trying to cozy up to be friendly with and capitulate to. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. Please.
That is not a left-wing position. That is not an inclusive position. Please wake
Jesus
up.
fucking, you wake up. You wake up.
The Democratic politicians have been failures. And not of the Republicans, and not of the country, of us. They never deliver for us.
I don't think that Democrats are. Look, I don't think that Democrats are doing that though, and they've proven in office that they're not doing that. When
oh my God, shut up. Oh my God. Oh my God. He's gonna be like, oh, peeling that Band-Aid off was really hard, wasn't it? But at least they peeled the Band-Aid off. They lost for it, and they didn't realize it soon enough. That's all true, but like they at least peeled the Band-Aid off. Some of them are still in denial and believing that Joe Biden would have won. That is true, but we're talking about a very small minority here. Pretty much everybody recognizes that Biden had no chance, dude. That's, but they don't, the same, like a lot of people have peeled that Band-Aid off. Yes, it was painful. Yes, a lot of people went kicking and screaming, but like that Band-Aid is off. Most people acknowledge, most Democrats acknowledge that Biden would have lost, that getting rid of him was eventually the right thing to do, even though Kamala also pretty much had no chance. The same cannot be said about the Republican base, much of which still believes that Trump won the election. They never peeled that Band-Aid off, Cenk. They never did. It's different. They're not the same. Please.
When Trump, listen. When Trump was ending his first term, every Democrat voted for the CARES Act because they recognized that it would help the American people, even though doing so would give Trump a win. And then, of course, when Republicans tried to pass, when Democrats came into office and tried to pass the American Rescue Plan, it
that's policy. I was just ranting about how we need to focus on policy. And here's Brian Tyler Cohen bringing up an example where the Democrats actually did work together on policy to do a good thing. And then Cenk's like, oh, well, that one was easy. It's policy, bitch. You just asked us to think about that. Oh my God. You can't win. You can't win with this guy. Holy shit.
wasn't passed with any support from Republicans. Maybe a few Republicans voted for it, but they didn't do that. And then Democrats came back into office. We have the bipartisan infrastructure law. We have the bipartisan gun safety law. We have all of these benefits conferred to red states, red districts, red areas for the infrastructure law, the CHIPS Act. So Democrats do not just defer blindly.
That's policy.
Help us.
How do we engage with this?
They're perfectly content to bring Republicans in if it's going to help them, even if it's voting for legislation that will reflect better on Donald Trump himself.
All true.
The Democrats aren't just this.
Oh, that was easy though. That was easy stuff.
Take whatever wins and lock Republicans out. They've proven by virtue of how they govern that they're not willing to do that.
And he hates them for it. It's so, oh my God, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, so that's a fair point, Brian. And
it's an insanely fair point, and literally correct.
You're right. And why am I on the left? Why am I a Democrat? Right? Because I agree with those policies, and I agree with the way of thinking about caring for everyone.
Oh, he doesn't.
And Bernie Sanders' slogan was "Fight for someone you don't know," right? And I love.
I mean, he does, but like,
yeah.
So the Democrats are terrific at getting disaster relief to everyone, and as I said earlier in the show, the Republicans don't. And that's their Republican politicians who are their base loves it. Division in this country, and by the way, they drive a lot of the identity politics and
their base loves it. Yep.
They love to do that, so you don't notice as their donors rob us blind.
Okay. Wow. So now magically he agrees with everything that we had to say. So will he ever budge on how all of this contradicts his core fucking thesis, or no? The answer is no.
You're talking about corporate Republican Congress people, I have zero faith in them. And by the way, the only people who can get them in line to vote for anything that we want is not Democrats. Unfortunately, the reality is the only one that can get them to vote for anti-war or anything along those lines is Donald Trump, because he could bully them into submission. And so I'm clear-eyed about that. But when we talk about, hey, I don't want to listen to Republicans, I don't want to listen to Trump, and I don't want to listen to anyone who's a right-wing
So
voter.
when we talk about this completely other different thing that we weren't talking about, I think I have the right position. You have to agree with me, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. I'm in constant disarray. Please. I need to play. I need to play. I need to play.
And I think they're all fascist. And
Please, Scott.
And then you've got Bannon and Musk at this.
Oh, it's not the
and
last. I
use
thought
this
that was
as
last
an
lap.
example.
In
In these 4 years, you're going to see.
Oh,
that they're
good. I haven't
going
had
to
a coin
have
for the last 2 laps. I
non-stop
swear to God.
internal fights. And I'm curious whether anyone in the audience is going to go, hey, you know what? Cenk said that was going to happen. The Young Turks said that was going to happen. Just like we said it about Biden, just like we've said it about Tulsi Gabbard and how she was never a progressive. And we called...
She's brought, just like you said, Trump would drop out because it was so embarrassing, the impeachment.
All of these things out accurately. I'm curious if our side is ever going to be fair and goes, yeah, no, you're right. It turns out they do have these giant conflicts. Jump in there.
They're not giant conflicts. I think the problem is you're making them out to be bigger than they are, because if they were big, then Bannon would be making headway towards convincing Trump that the H-1Bs is bad, actually, which it seems the evidence, the facts seem to suggest that he hasn't moved at all on that. Again, we will have to wait and see, but I just don't think that nothing seems to be suggesting that we're going even remotely in that direction, regardless of how hard Bannon fights on this. Sure, that disagreement might exist within them for now, but they will still be pro-Trump at the end of the day, right? And they will still fall in line with pretty much everything else that he does and says. That disagreement can still exist, but what Trump says goes, and what he wants is what he wants. Oh my God.
Help support corporate tax
Sorry, I just got mad at the race
right?
there. That wasn't
but if
even
you just
the...
go, no, I want to shut off. I think they're all evil.
If you just
I
go,
don't want to understand.
if you just go and do this thing that I've said for the 15th time in this debate, which has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about, then you're insane and I can't help you. Okay, good for you, man.
An anti-intellectual position where you go, I'm shutting off my mind. I'll just let the Democratic politicians think for me, and I will do.
You're like doing, like, you're insulting your own progressive base, dude. Let's just be real. You're not giving your own audience enough credit to think that they're coming to these conclusions based on what they're seeing, and that they're seeing a different thing from you. You swear to God that you're seeing that this civil war is a really big deal, and it's actually, like, I am looking at it too, acknowledging that conflict exists. I'm acknowledging it as a civil war. I'm telling you, after a couple of weeks of said civil war, I don't think that we've really made any budges, and I don't think anyone's moving on this. And all of those people who disagree with Trump on H-1Bs will continue to support Trump and not give a fuck about this a few months from now on the H-1Bs. They don't care. I don't. It's not a wake-up call for, like, any of them. There are so many, like a trillion other wake-up calls that they need to be having on any number of other policies that they're also not having. Even if they have those disagreements, which I acknowledge they do. It's just, please, oh my God. I don't know. I can argue against all of the points that I want, but he'll never argue against them because he can't. I don't know. He just has a straw man.
Obey them in every
Dutifully
primary
obey.
and make
Dutifully
sure that they
obey.
support some sort of corporate goon who never delivers on their promise.
Like this, it's just like
Let's go,
such
let's get up
silly
and fight
political
back.
analysis. We're not
And
like
by the
we're
way,
not
the
engaging
number one thing
seriously.
you should do is take the Democratic Party back. In that 2028 primary is going to be the most important vote of your life. If you vote for another one of these establishment figures, we're going to get slaughtered in the next election. How many times have we said on the Young Turks?
That's not necessarily true. I wouldn't go that far. Again, I think that it's really important that we go that direction. I'm not going to speak for what the fucking shit's going to look like 4 years from now, because I have no fucking clue. This country could be a wildly, radically different country where we're just fighting for fucking scraps, let alone minimum wage increases. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making any fucking statements. You could get the most establishment fucking prick to win the next election because Trump's so horrible that people just want to flip the other direction. And then, of course, the powers that be will pick the most corporate establishment, whatever the fuck. I'm agreeing with, but like to say that like we would necessarily lose with that is also insane. Like you don't know what the context is going to be in 4 years. But okay, like go, feel free to make that prediction. I'm not willing to stake my shit on that right now. I want us, and I believe obviously that we should go that direction. It's our best chance of winning. But to say that someone who was more establishment wouldn't win is also insane. You can get Gavin Newsom sounding like Obama and win very easily.
Populist is the way to go. Bernie would have won, and the polling indicated that. It was indisputable polling, and mainstream media lied to you.
I don't disagree.
The Democratic leadership lied to you.
This part I don't disagree with. The Democrats lied to you. Yeah.
You. And I'm trying to get people to stop believing in the Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden lies. How much clearer does it have to be? The guy still says that he would have won, and then Kamala would have won, even though we just had the election and she lost. Please
Jake,
stop listening to these guys.
Who to end this on a note of levity here, who are you looking at as we head toward 20?
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Brian did not do a great job arguing. I don't know. He's too nice. He's too nice of a guy, man. He's just too nice. Cenk's sitting here screaming in his face, and he's just like, oh yeah, like I mean, you know, like I agree with you on that, but like I'm saying a slightly different thing, and I'm like, come on, man, like this is the second time that he's been on, and the 50th time that he's made this exact same stupid fucking argument. Somebody needs to tear into him for once. Like I'm losing it, but like I think that's why he won't like talk with other people. And it's like, it's weird because like once he starts agreeing and he feels like he's ceded too much to our argument, he starts going off on the straw mans about how the entire left was bow down, obey, bow down, obey. And, oh, they'll cut out the Democrats every time. It's like, dog, after the debate, a lot of people saw, it took a lot of people to wake up, a lot of time to wake up and recognize that Biden wasn't the guy. It's true. A lot of time for a lot of those people. It should not have taken that long. But ultimately, that Band-Aid was ripped off. And we finally recognized as a party, okay, Biden's not, you know, it took a while, and it was a hard process for a lot of people, but we did finally get there. The Republicans have never gotten there since Trump lost in 2020, and they never will get there. It's just, I don't know. We're talking about different things. It's quite frustrating.
And I know this is a ridiculous question, but just so that we can, I don't know, for a moment of levity here, who would you like to see as we head toward 2028? Is it somebody that we even know about right now, or is there somebody that you're just waiting to come out of the woodwork that we don't even know about? And kind of in the same way that nobody really knew who Barack Obama was before he came onto the scene in 2008.
Yeah. So look, we should look outside of politicians. So there are very few politicians that have not been corrupted by the system. So that's and so Donald Trump has this fake populism. He doesn't mean it. He just wants money, right?
100%.
Yeah.
We all know that.
He does
Okay,
it
good.
effectively because the country's dying for populists. So, but all of our politicians have grown up in a system.
It's disaster,
where they take
though.
countless corporate
The country is dying for populists, and then we got Trump. Then isn't that kind of a fucking? Isn't that kind of a? If the country is dying for populism, and then we got Trump, isn't that kind of like a wild condemnation of populism as like a movement generally, where it's like, okay, well, like populism doesn't really stand for anything because you can get people to believe in even like hardcore right-wing or Republican economics if you have populist rhetoric. And isn't that like kind of a bit of the danger of the concept that you're insisting that everyone gets on board with? Now, granted, I agree with the economic populist message generally, so long as it has left-leaning underpinnings, right? But like, yeah.
Money, and they serve endless corporate PAC money. So number one, if you're going to pick a politician, it has to be someone that doesn't take corporate PAC money like Ro Khanna. So that's as close to Bernie as you can get is the direction I would go. Given that
I'd
Bernie's
love a Ro
much
Khanna
lower.
presidency.
Now, but
better than
give me a Jon Stewart,
better than Newsom, better than Buttigieg.
Sean Fain, a labor leader.
Yeah, I'd take Sean Fain.
By the way, Jon Stewart has fought for the average guy.
O'Brien's
before.
not.
He's fought
I don't know about O'Brien.
first responders,
I get weird
health
vibes from him.
insurance and healthcare,
But he's
et
good.
cetera,
He's a
in
good
New
guy
York.
overall.
So give me somebody honest. Give me somebody authentic.
Like, I have no
Give me
idea what he would do
someone
on
who's
foreign policy is the
populist
issue.
Left wing, and that is, and I'm so glad you asked that, Brian, because don't lose track of the fact that 2/3 of the country agrees with almost all of our economic policy positions: paid family leave, higher minimum wage, universal health care, even free college. I can go all the way down the list. 2/3 of the country is populist progressive. We have to give them a candidate in a general election. If we do, we will win overwhelmingly. If we don't, then you're going to have J.D. Vance or some other goon, and they're going to win till the rest of the time, until the Democratic Party realizes, go populist. Do
Right, I mean,
not go back to the establishment.
Fine.
To your point, Democrats have been winning referendums and ballot measures while the candidates who espouse those very positions continue to lose on the same fucking ballot. So if that is not a testament to the fact that our message is correct, our messengers are absolutely wrong, I don't know what is. Also, I should note that this
We
is
all agree
the
with that.
second interview this week that I've had. I also spoke with Kyle Kalinske, and he also brought up Jon Stewart. And by the way, just throwing it out there, in large part, the reason that I got into politics and the reason that I do what I do is because I grew up watching Jon Stewart as well. So we got 3
Interesting.
votes for Jon
Okay.
Stewart right now in the progressive media ecosystem. So
Sure.
I'll
take it. I don't know.
If anybody,
He's a charismatic guy. I like him. I don't know. I think that he has some pretty solid core principles and values. He could be a good guy. Sure. Yeah. Fuck it. I'd take it.
anybody from Stewart's show is watching out there, he's got 3 guaranteed votes here. Cenk, I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you being willing to engage in these debates. For anybody watching who's upset that we can engage in these debates on the left, I think that's absolutely wrong. I think that
I don't know who those people are. I don't know why you'd be upset that you're engaging in the debate. Like, I'm just frustrated with Cenk that he doesn't have any better arguments to bring other than straw mans. It's tiresome. I'm getting bored of them at this point. Like, it's fun for me to rage at them enough and all that, but like, I only get so much out of it. All right, well, it was fiery, but it wasn't Brian here. Or how does he prefer to go to? BTC? He prefers to go by Bitcoin, right? Yeah, Bitcoin and Cenk, dude. Bitcoin just didn't challenge that hard, mate. That's all I'm saying. He didn't clash nearly as hard as Cenk was strawmanning all of Bitcoin's arguments, mate. I don't know. That's rude. I can't call him Bitcoin. That's not fair. It's just funny that his initials are Bitcoin. That's fine. Sexy man. Again, attractiveness +3 to all stats, mate. What can you do? What can you do?